My name is Jamak. This is Sohail. You're here because you're interested in ITT Canada. We're going to spend some time in this video and go over some frequently asked questions. Questions are a variety of questions from immigration to housing to registration, all kinds of stuff. Dive in, fast forward, go back, and use it as you see fit. You ready?
Perfect.
Let's dive
All
in.
ready.
First question. I want to migrate to Canada. How can you help me?
We can't help you at all. We are only a school. We are not supposed to interfere with immigration-related tasks. All we can do is just give you a letter of acceptance. That's the start and end of our responsibility. So we cannot help you immigrate or migrate to Canada.
What if I want to get a study permit?
That, by all means, we can help you. If you're eligible and you're sending me some documents that we require, they're all on our website. Like you have to fulfill our admission requirements. The biggest one is like English proficiency. If you're giving it to us, then sure. We don't give anybody a study permit. We give you a letter of acceptance. You go and apply in your embassy, and then they decide whether they are accepting your request or they're rejecting it.
Okay. Other question, we pretty much just answered it. In terms of our admission, you can look at our admission criteria on our website, admission requirements, but Sohail kind of went over it. Most important one is English, and that's another question that we get is, what if my English language is not sufficient? What can I do?
Well, there's two things. If your English language is a wee bit underneath what we want, we can give you a conditional acceptance letter. That means you are required to study English for a short period of time before you're starting your actual course. We teach you English, we re-examine you, and if your English level satisfies our English requirement, then we can give you admission.
Okay.
If not, if there is a big gap, then you have to study in your country and
get your level up to that level. Next question that's kind of not appropriate, but we've been asked that question is, can somebody else take the English exam? Because we have this online English test that you can take as opposed to taking IELTS or TOEFL. So the question is, can I have someone else take that test for me?
That is a very obvious fraud. And if you're claiming that you're doing a fraudulent activity. So what happens is that our English test is online, but we ask for a proctor. So people have to give us an email for the proctor. We send a code that is only valid for 30 minutes. That way we do our due diligence to make sure that these two people are beside each other, and then the proctor kind of swears that he is there with the applicant.
This is the person taking the exam.
So if you decide to kind of circumvent us, then that means you're committing a fraud.
Okay. Along the same lines, some people want to know the tuition for our English classes, and also if there's a fee for our English test.
There is no fee for the English test, not at all. It's a free test, and you can take it at any time that you want. It's online. The price for our English classes is $200 per week.
At the moment, this is being recorded in August of 2018.
That's right, but it is only if you take 8 weeks or more.
Right.
If you take less than 8 weeks, that's $275 per week.
Okay. Next, can I change my visa? Can I change my program or the school after I obtain my study permit?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
You can change your program, and also you can change your school. That's not a problem at all, except the fact that you have a contract with us or with any other college. If you're changing your program inside our college, there is no financial difficulty. Like, we just cannot transfer you. Even if the destination program is cheaper than the source, we don't penalize you for that. You're our student, you decide not to take IT, you decide to take business administration.
We don't like it, so do your due diligence and thinking before you do that. Our student services isn't too happy to change your program, but we do it.
That is possible. You can do that, and there is no financial penalty associated with it. If you want to change your school, you definitely get penalized. The minimum is, after you get your study permit, the minimum is $1,300, and it could go all the way up to the entire tuition. It depends on the timeline of when you decide to leave us and go to another college. On the same line, you cannot get a study permit and not go to school. That's a violation of the study permit requirement.
Next is, can my spouse and my children come here? What is the process if I get a study permit?
Well, yes, you have to apply, but anything with immigration has absolute no certainty. So they can apply for an open work permit. I mean, the spouse can apply for the
Yeah.
open work permit. It may or may not be granted by Immigration Canada, so it's not.
What
It's not
about children?
Children usually can come. Again, this has to do with immigration as well. If they approve them, children can come here and they can go to school. Some school boards let them go for free. Some school boards don't. We don't really know, and we
Yeah.
cannot say that the
And it's
children
not
can
it's
go
not
to
our
free.
job.
It's
not
not.
our job. You need to talk to an immigration consultant, which leads us to the next question of if we have immigration consultants on staff or if we can refer them to immigration consultants.
We have a large array of immigration consultants that we know, but they're not our staff. So there is a site called partners.ittcanada.ca. They're all listed there. I mean, it is not completed yet, but
Yeah,
they're
it's
all
work
going
in
to be
progress
listed.
right
It's
now,
work
yeah.
in progress. And if you're emailing us, we can just give you at least a few of this list and you can choose. None of them are our staff, and we don't take, like, nothing that they say is actually what we say. This is like their business.
Yeah.
So
We're not affiliated with them in any shape or form. This next question is very general, so I'm going to try and see if I can direct it a little bit here.
Sure.
So I think they're asking us about what is the advantage of ITD. We have a whole webpage dedicated to that, and if you've been in touch with any of our educational advisors, hopefully, they've been through the advantages of what they are. But Sohail, as the owner of the school, as the person who's been here from day one, if you can just maybe talk about the top 2-3 advantages of ITD in your mind.
Okay, the biggest advantage is that we are a result-oriented college, and the result to us is actually landing a job by our graduates. So we do whatever is in our power, and legally we're bound to, in order to make sure that our graduates get jobs. That's like
Right.
number one. Of course, we don't guarantee anything because we cannot.
We can't
but we do
guarantee.
whatever we can. So, for example, programs like Toastmaster, which is actually costing money for the college.
Yeah.
The co-op training every 2 weeks that we have. All these extra classes. Other programs that we have in terms of industrial relations. So we do all of this stuff so our students get jobs. That's like our very
Right.
biggest priority
We
for
have
us.
small classes. Our classes are project-based, which is exactly what happens when you go to work.
In the real world.
right?
Let's not forget the financial flexibility that we have.
Right,
We
payment
have
plans.
payment plans. Like, not only our prices are extremely reasonable, we have different payment plans that you can even pay monthly.
Right. So there's a lot more. These are just a few that we want to talk about here. They want to know about work permit after graduation.
Oh my God, that's called PGWP, Postgraduate Work Permit. I want to be clear, our college is a private college and therefore automatically is not eligible for that. What's the reason? I don't know. Maybe somebody who can go to immigration and ask them. It's a very logical thing, we know, but we can't do anything about it. The government decided that gives PGWP only to public schools, and we can't do anything about it. It's not because of our qualification, it's not because of our quality, it's not because of anything. It's just the government decided like that. So it's something that we cannot acquire. We can't even apply to have it.
Yeah. The simple answer is we don't. Our college does not qualify for PGWP. We've done at least 2 or maybe 3 that I know of with
Different videos.
interviews with immigration consultants that have gone into the details of PGWP, the advantages, disadvantages, and other alternative routes of staying in Canada, working in Canada, and eventually leading to your PR. But again, we've
That's
said this from the
directly
top.
from immigration consultants. It's not from us.
From the top, we're not immigration consultants. We're not in the business of immigration. We're a school. When you graduate from our school, the rest is between you and the Canadian government. So let's move on.
Yes.
Let's talk about co-op. What does it mean? How does it work?
Well, co-op is it's an integrated part of your studies, but you're not at school. You're actually working in a company
Right.
and you're getting paid for it. Almost all of our programs, except one,
Yeah.
does not have co-op, but like the rest of them, they do. Almost all of
yeah.
our programs, they have co-op. Co-op is an integrated part of your education. Once you're registering for a diploma with co-op, then it means that you have to finish co-op before you can get your diploma. And it's a paid internship. Like in Canada, internship and co-op are two different things. Internship means unpaid. Co-op means it is paid. So you are supposed to go get a job, get a Canadian experience, and get paid for it.
Yeah, the co-op was Sohail's solution to the reality that when you come to Canada, you go to school, when you apply for a job, they want Canadian work experience. So this was a solution to that lack of Canadian work experience that we found our graduates dealing with when applying for a job. So when you come here, you go to school, the second year, you go to co-op. The next logical question is, are we as college, does ITT Canada guarantee co-op placement? And is it entirely the college's responsibility?
It is not. It is a combined responsibility. Before we go ahead, our co-op is actually the second year. So that means by the first year, we already know our students and they already know us.
Right.
Co-op has requirements. The requirement is actually, they're not hard requirements, but the requirement is that the attendance has to follow certain requirements. The academic performance has to follow certain requirements. If you keep failing courses and you don't show up at your classes, you're not eligible to go to co-op. You're simply not placeable.
Right. And just if I can add to that, if we find that our students that term are weak at a certain thing, maybe they're weak at interview skills or something, and we set up a session twice a week at night or something to teach them those skills, and Bob decides that he has to work during that time, his part-time job, and cannot show up for those, then we can't help. We can't. It's out of our hands. We do everything we can to place our students. It's to our benefit to place our students. But if a student does not cooperate, they don't qualify for co-op, right?
It's really hard to coach a soccer player who doesn't want to run.
Who doesn't show up? Yeah, if you don't show up, we can't help you. It's as simple as that, and it goes for everything. And that's one of the other things is why are our contracts 1-year contracts? And I think if you want to...
The program is 2-year program.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. A lot of people are wondering why our contracts are 1 year at a time, but the program is 2 years. The program is like the complete program and has the co-op. But even with the regulations, we cannot have a contract that is more than a year. So beside the fact that regulatory-wise, we can't even have a contract that is more than a year, there is a rationale to that. We do not sign the second-year contract with you unless we're sure that you're placeable.
Right, and unless we know that you've met the co-op requirements. Let's move on.
Sure.
The next question is about tuition fees.
Right. The tuition fees at the time that we're taking this video is anywhere between $17,300 to $19,050 for the 2 years. It's not symmetrical. The second year is only $1,200 and the rest of it is for the first year. It's very rational. The second year, no, you're not even at school. These prices are going to change.
Very
as
soon.
Early as January, we're going to increase 15%. We're going to increase our tuition for 15%. But we're going to have a video about that anyways. But
I think the easiest way, the most efficient way for you to understand our tuition fee structure is to use our online calculator. If you go to ittcanada.ca/apply, there's a video there, another video of Sohail and I sitting down talking. Listen, watch that video, and then click through, go to the next page. On that next page, you'll see an online tool. It's a calculator that we've built. You fill out the calculator with the information. When you select your program, you select your payment plan, because we have a bunch of different flexible payment plans and options. It's going to give you the details of tuition fees. So regardless of the program, when you put in the start date and you select your payment plan, it's going to give you the breakdown of how much money, exactly how much money you have to pay and when that due date is.
Yes, exactly.
Right? So I think that's the best way.
That's a great tool.
That's the best way. We've gone through a lot of heartache to develop that tool so that you can actually use it as many times as you want. It doesn't cost you anything. Play around with it. figure out what the best program is, what the most suitable tuition fee is, and what's the most suitable payment plan.
And although the link says apply, it has no obligation. You're not applying
Yeah,
for
there
anything.
is no obligation. It's just a link. We have people who might be watching the video that have a tourist visa in Canada. First of all, can they change that to a study permit? If so, how? I know it's an immigration-related question, so just based on your experience.
So briefly, the answer to this question is yes. If they want, they can change the status. They have to apply. The whole process is called application for changing the status. And immigration consultants all know about it. There's like certain things that they have to satisfy, and then they can do that, yes.
Okay, great. What about if they come here on a study permit, can they claim refugee status?
In my personal opinion, that is the worst thing that you can do. If I was the government, I would deny your application anyways. Because when you're applying for a study permit, you say that you are fine in your country, you have enough money, you have the proof, you studied there, you have some background, you have
you're gonna study and go back. That's why they give you the study permit.
And then you come here, and then all of a sudden you say your life is in danger, and like you make up things. This is not a very good move. We do not recommend it, nor we actually want to answer that question at all.
Okay, what are the advantages of holding a study permit outside of being able to study, obviously?
Okay, so like number one, you can get the medical services plan. Number two, you can work.
Medical services plan being medical insurance.
Medical insurance. Yeah. Number two is ability to work. That's the biggest issue.
20 hours a week.
20 hours a week. And then there is like side effects, like you can easily open a bank account, you can get a credit card, like all these things that people cannot do.
So there are basically a lot of advantages that are very similar to someone who has permanent residency or Canadian citizen.
That's right.
What ballpark, what's the cost of living here for a single student that's modest?
Okay, so I'm just going to give you like two ballparks for two different scenarios.
Okay, go for
if you're a student and you want to live with a roommate, and then you don't want to have a car, and you're like a modest, you just want to do the transportation by public transportation, or whether you're living close or whatever, like I think the cost of living without the tuition of the college is $1,500. And if you want to live lavishly, it goes $2,500 and up, depending on what you want.
I mean, lavishly depends on your definition of lavish, right?
So if you want to drive a Ferrari, then it is like $10,000.
So I mean, I think with the first scenario, I'm more focused on the first scenario. With the first scenario, at least $800 is rent.
Yes.
Right? And then the rest, it depends on how you're eating, if you're eating out, if you're buying your coffee from Starbucks.
I think $1,500 is actually probably like a very, very good ballpark.
Yeah, okay, awesome. We already talked about this. Can I work and how much can I make?
Well,
minimum
you work
wage?
20 hours a week. Minimum wage is right now $12.65. You do the math.
Yeah,
that's like the minimum you can make.
Exactly. What are the advantages and disadvantages of your college?
Small classes, focusing on getting our students hired.
Those are the advantages.
So I'm talking about the advantages,
I
right?
know. Just like
Okay, so I'm not going to say any disadvantage.
There is no disadvantage.
There is no disadvantage, but the advantages are...
No, there is a disadvantage. If you don't show up, we kick you out.
Oh, well, okay, that's not a disadvantage. That's the procedure. That's the policy and procedure. Anyways, number one, we have very reasonable prices. We have a lot of good payment plan options that are actually helping you. Actually, our mission statement says that we want to make education affordable internationally.
Right.
Then there is small classes, quality of education, application-based education, for the lack of any other word. Like we actually give you projects that they are live, so you can work on whatever that is actually practiced in the work right now, or in the industry right now.
Okay. This is a strange question. You guys don't have the program that I'm interested in. What do I do?
You should go to another college. Yeah, if we don't have, like a lot of people are just trying to convince us to bring new programs. It's not as easy as you think. So, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. So the next question is, what programs do you have? Instead of listing them, you can go to our website. You are on our website probably right now watching this if you're not on YouTube. Go to our website, ittcanada.ca/programs or whatever it is. Use the button there and that will get you there. Next question is, where do I start? go to ittcanada.ca/apply, watch the video, and go from there. The next question is about our social media channels. Again, all of that they can find through our website.
Yeah, they're all existing.
But we have Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, pretty active on all of those. You can find the links through our website. How long does the entire process take?
It depends on your nationality and the embassy in your area. What I know for our college, because we have the control over it. I know that for us, it takes like about 48 hours before if you give us everything that we need, it takes about 48 hours to get the letter of acceptance
if everything is perfect, yeah.
But then the embassy of your location can go anywhere from like 2 weeks to 2 years.
Yeah, that's outside of our control, and we actually have zero information about that, right?
Oh, this is interesting because some people think that we have a special relationship with immigration. We don't.
Don't you wish?
Yeah.
What if my visa gets rejected?
Well, there is 2 things that you can do. Number 1, you can reapply, and number 2 is that you can ask for refund. If you want to reapply, the best is to apply for getting the CAPES notes, or what is called ATIP, which basically means we're searching for the reason of why you're rejected.
The details of why you were rejected.
And then you can apply again.
Okay. There seems to be some confusion among our international students, mostly those whose English is not their first language, between a job offer, and the job offer, I put it in air quotation marks because they are meaning the job offer that immigration requires for coming here, and the co-op program, and the way our letter of acceptance satisfies the requirement for a co-op work permit. If you want to spend a couple of minutes talking about that.
Sure. When you're getting the study permit, already 20 hours of work comes with it. That means you can go work anywhere. It's called an open work permit. So you can work anywhere that you wish because there is no restriction in the study permit for that. Or some study permits, they have restriction on it. If you're studying on anything but English, then you have 20 hours. For English, you don't have that. But for us, because our programs, they are all co-op based, the second year, which is the co-op, also gives you the ability to work for 40 hours per week. For that, a special work permit needed, which is called the co-op work permit. By no means it's a job offer and it can be used toward immigration. If you are misunderstanding this, please don't. This is a co-op work permit. It's not a job offer. Job offer should be offered by an employer. We're not an employer.
After graduation, if it's to do with whatever
at
right?
any time.
Yeah.
But it's not coming from us at all.
We have questions about dormitory, if we offer dormitories for our students.
We don't. There are other companies that they're doing homestay and similar things. We have the list of them. We will provide them to our students, but we don't take any responsibility on their quality or however they deal with it.
It's just a referral. Can you talk about, you mentioned health insurance. Can you just briefly talk about when a student comes here, what is the process they go through to get their health insurance?
If they're coming from overseas, they get their study permit at the airport. If they're applying for changing
insurance,
status,
did I say
yes.
Health insurance?
This is the prerequisite for that. So if they are changing their status, they get the study permit in mail. After they get the study permit, they can go and register for the medical services plan program. And normally, long time ago when it was paper-based, they said there is a 3-month period to wait. But now it is about 5 weeks.
Okay. Is there an advantage to work with an immigration lawyer or an immigration consultant?
Absolutely. Please do not work with people that they do not have the certification from the Canadian government. Even if they're practicing in other countries, they must have the ICCRC certification from Canada in order to be able to practice this. So once you're talking or you're giving your money to somebody who is not ICCRC, you're putting yourself in danger of applying wrong. And the side effect of that is that not only you're getting rejected for this application, you're going to be inadmissible for a number of years.
Because you lied.
Because you lied.
Yeah. So the next few questions have to do with when the applicant becomes a student.
Sure.
And what flexibilities they have here, right? So when I'm here as a student, am I able to take an extended period of time off?
No, according to the immigration law, there are certain requirements for a study permit, and one of those requirements is that you have to be at school at all times. So you can't take extended period of time unless extraneous situation happens.
Like a
It's
death in the family or something like
extraordinary,
that,
so
right?
it's like death in family or like fatal sicknesses or stuff like that. Like, I mean, this is just logical.
Yeah.
The fact that I miss my mom does not cut it.
Okay. What about, can I go to work instead of coming to class?
You have to understand the reason that you can go to work is that you have a study permit. So that's the father of everything.
Right.
If you kill that study permit, you can't even work. So if you're not attending school, that study permit requirement is not satisfied, which basically means it's void.
Right.
At the best, when the immigration knows about it, they deport you and you're inadmissible for a number of years.
Yeah, and you have to understand, we have students here that sometimes say things like, I can't come to this class because that's during when my work is scheduled. Well, you got to change your work, or you got to
Not the school.
you can't change the school. And that's kind of related to the next question is, can I design my own school schedule?
Absolutely not.
That makes zero sense, right? It's not
Exactly.
a individual based private. You're not paying that much money, right? This isn't one-on-one instructions where you can define your own.
You can't. It's
your own
just like
schedule.
the schedule is dictated by the school, and it's based on a lot of prerequisites and pre-requirements. We can't change it, and
nor should we. It makes no sense,
Yeah.
right? Last question, at least for this video, is can I transfer courses from here to another academic institution?
The simple answer is it depends on the destination institution.
Makes sense.
The PLA or prior learning assessment in BC works in a way that the destination institute decides whether they want to accept whatever people studied in the source institute. And it has nothing to do with the quality. It has nothing to do with nothing. It's basically they have their own course outline and we have our own course outline. They may or they may not give you the credit for it.
Perfect. That's it for this video. Hopefully the questions we've covered were some of your questions. If you still have questions that we haven't covered, please get in touch with us. You can go back to whomever sent you this video. You can reply to whatever email that carried this video with it, and ask us those questions, and we'll either answer it right away or we'll record another video and get it to you. If you're the right fit, if we're the right fit for you, we look forward to seeing you at ITT Canada here in downtown Vancouver.
Thank you very much.